so, as we say good evening, Australia, I'm Ray Warren on behalf of Network 10 Sport in New South Wales, Channel O Sport in Queensland, and we're here at Carlaw Park to bring you the first rugby league test between Australia and New Zealand. It's a wet day. As you can see, the rain is coming down quite heavily. It's been sprinkling all morning, and though the weather here has been fine for the last 4 or 5 days, Carlaw Park, the surface itself, has become very greasy, very soggy, and could well continue to prove a hoodoo or graveyard ground for Australian touring sides. Since 1961, I think I must point out that of 7 test matches played between the two nations, New Zealand have won 4 of the 7. They're going into their 50th test match this afternoon. Australia goes in having won 31 of those matches, New Zealand 18. The last time I was here at Carlaw Park, it was 1971, and there's one survivor from that 1971 side, or touring party, I should say. His name is Tommy Raudonikis, and he would remember it very well. The Kiwis put away Australia 24 points to 3. We thought that was a good Australian side. We think this side is possibly better. But with these conditions applying, I'm not sure just which way we should forecast this result. We'll soon know, though, because the players are about to take Carlaw Park for the first Rugby League International of 1980. There's the Australian side, and the important change is Les Boyd in the side, replacing Graham Wynne. Graham Wynne, a rather disappointed young man, sitting on the bench for this test match. And Les Boyd goes into the second row with Rod Reddy. Big crowd there, a shot of the main grandstand on the broadcast side of Carlaw Park. Graham Quinn, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ryan. Thanks very much to the O10 Network for inviting me up here this afternoon to co-commentate the game. It's very good. It's raining out here at Auckland, and I think it's going to be a very hard test match.
Olsen Filipina now with Balmain, and looked upon here as somewhat of an idol. I don't think the NZ has realised his form with the Tigers has been as good as it was when he left here, but he could lift himself for this occasion. Must be a very important one. Possibly some mixed feelings, but I don't think so when he put that black and white jumper on. Here's the kickoff. There's the start of the first test, and it's going down to Canterbury wing 3-quarter Chris Anderson, and he's able to bump off the first tackle, that of Howard Tamati, and it's back with Craig Young for Australia now. They're just outside their own 22. Referee for this match is Australian-born Kevin Steele. It's out with Tom Raudonikis, and back to Les Boyd, and Boyd, I thought for a moment might have been through that first line of defence. They're wearing the international numbering, and already a disagreement, and Steele walks in and gives a penalty to Australia. Kevin Tamati, the second row forward.
It was a nice how do you do, Ray?
It was a nice how do you do in the opening few seconds. I don't think he left any doubt just which way his feelings were.
That's right, but then again it's a test match.
And so it's Anderson now. Met by 3 Kiwis and forced to ground. Some of these players are going to get very hard to recognise as this match wears on. Rod Morris takes it up to what has been in the opening few tackles an enthusiastic defence from the Kiwis. It's out to Rod Reddy. Now Craig Young. The pass over the shoulder of Boyd, picked up by Price. And it went forward, says referee Steele, and he's going to put a scrum down 5 metres on the New Zealand side of halfway. And so Varley feeds the scrum. It's an Australian ball, a good heel. It came from Thompson at 5/8 to Dowling in from fullback, and he's tackled by Gordon Smith and by Filipina. Dowling plays it on the halfway mark, back to Alan Thompson, away to Raudonikis, and on it goes to Cronin. Cronin stands back to Price. Price comes to Lulawai. He's put down, and coming in over the top was the New Zealander, Kevin Tamati. Greg Bretnell. Oh, a punch went in there from one of the New Zealanders. From the hooker, in fact, Howie Tamati. It's out to Raudonikis. This is going to have plenty of stick in it, I think. Cronin away from the tackle. Floats the ball out to Dowling. Dowling's down to the 22. Dowling looks for support. Good bust by Cronin. Good run by Dowling. Paponis' dummy half now. Rod Morris taking it ahead. 10 metres out from the Kiwi line. Paponis again. Rodonicus switches the point of the attack. Out to Dowling. Turns the pass back to Ray Price in 13. Price gets the pass away. Dropped by Cronin. Picked up and dived over the line. Craig Young. That's the first try of the test. And here it is on the replay as Rodonicus switches the point of the attack to Gary Dowling. It's this pass that goes to Ray Price. He takes it down towards the corner. Dummies on the outside. It came over the shoulder of Mick Cronin into the waiting hands of Craig Young, and a fair try, Graham Quinn. So Mick Cronin now from about 7 metres in from touch, firing for goal, not looking too bad, but just wide. And so Australia lead New Zealand 3 points to 0 after only 4 minutes of the first test here at Carlaw Park. Brought to you by your Tooth Hotels. As the restart, we come back live. Dowling. Shane Varley. And number 13 is Mark Graham, who plays with the Brisbane North side. There's Boyd playing in 12 for Australia. These international numbers can be quite confusing. Quick passing out to Reddy. They're only about 12 metres out from their own line, ready to play the ball back to Peponis. Rod Morris. Mark Graham was one of the tacklers. Back to Michael Cronin, looking for the touch line, skidding on this very greasy pitch. Well taken by O'Donnell, the fullback. And he's raked in nicely by Ray Price. This man is Broadhurst. And it's out to Filipina. Away to Lulawai. On it goes now to Fisher, and he's into touch. Taken into touch by the Australian winger, Kerry Bowstead.
Good tackle, Kerry Bowstead. Showed him the touch line and put him there too, over the touch line.
So this scrum is packing 7 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. Rodonicus to feed. Penalty. Incorrect feed of the scrum. So the Kiwis will be kicking for touch. And it's Barry Edkins, the second rower, who finds it with a very good kick. Very good kick, finding it only 15 metres away from the Australian line. And so they set up the attack now inside the 10. Referee taking the indication from the touch judge that they were inside the 10. And a second penalty goes to the Kiwis, and O'Donnell, the fullback, will come up. He plays with the Canterbury club here in New Zealand, and I'm told over a period of time has scored something like 1,400 points. So it's O'Donnell. The ball in the upright position, strikes it, and it's looking good. The crowd roars. It's just inside for 2 points. That's all that matters. So after 7 minutes of time gone, Australia 3, New Zealand 2. Try to Craig Young at the 4th minute. A penalty goal to O'Donnell coming at the 7th minute. And there's the restart going down to Shane Varley. He's given it immediately back to the fullback. And O'Donnell is through the tackle of Rod Morris. And that brought a roar from the crowd. Edkins, the second rower now, playing at about 7 metres out from the 22, his own end of the field. Blindsided, goes back to Tamati. That's Kevin, the man who was involved in that first penalty, was Les Boyd. Tackler was Greg Brentnell. Put to ground by Tiariki. And a penalty to New Zealand. He might not have found touch with that. In fact, he hasn't. That's a bad kick, and Gary Dowling puts the Australians back onto the attack. I'll tell you what, Graham Quinn, there's a swinging arm or two going in the tackles in the opening 10 minutes.
Yes, Mr. Steele doesn't seem to worry too much about that, but you know, I'm sure he probably thinks the same. It's a test match. He lets a little bit go. I think that might be the way they referee over here.
Rodonicus to Reddy. Pops it back to Alan Thompson. And over the top comes Mark Graham. One of 2 New Zealanders playing in Australia who, in fact, were chosen for this side. Quick passing by Australia out to Cronin. And Cronin about 3 metres into Kiwi territory. Play on the old grandstand side now. Rodonicus. Thompson on the burst. Dowling. His run ending just a few meters short of the halfway. Alan Thompson. Rodonicus. Across Price out to Boyd. Cronin again. Cronin with the kick over the head. That might be out on the full. Yes, it is. And so the scrum will go down midway between the 22 and the halfway on the New Zealand end of the field.
New Zealand moving up pretty quick so far, but they seem to be getting a little bit lost when the Australians move the ball around.
Well, the New Zealand back line, you can see by that wide shot, standing very flat. It's a New Zealand ball. That's Shane Varley, tackled by Ray Price. This is Graham, the lock forward, playing in the international jumper for a lock forward, number 13. Rod Reddy and Graham becoming entangled. The punch was thrown.
I don't think that'll worry Robert.
Loose ball. Tamati again. A few meters on his own side of the halfway. And tempers are fraying. Tempers are really fraying out there. And we've had 10 minutes of football. Last tackle coming up against the NZers. Kevin Tamati. Received by the Australians, put to ground on the end of 6 tackles, and this scrum will go down 5 meters on the New Zealand side of halfway.
A little bit of fire there, right?
A little bit. A very spiteful commencement to this match, you could say. Penalty. That's feet across. He's penalised Paponis for feet across. And a further penalty going to the Kiwis.
The penalties this stage favour New Zealand 4-1. 4-1. And the scrums are 1 apiece at this stage.
Graham Quinn, the Australian representative on this tour, with the comments during the match. Shane Varley is put down just outside the 22 line. The Kiwis on the attack now as they set it up. Tiariki, number 10, playing in his first test match for his country. Playing it back to the hooker Tamati. Through Broadhurst, it's out to Graham. And that's Gordon Smith, the 5'8", who eventually is tackled about 15 metres away from the Australian line. They switch it back towards the blind side now. And another swinging arm, this time from the Australians. Barry Edkins goes to ground tackled. Tamati. Broadhurst. Prop forward. Back to Tamati, the hooker. And put down by Tiariki. Dived on very gamely by Ray Price, but I think he's got a knee in the back for his trouble. Yes, he has. So Price plays the ball now as time is called back on. Morris on his own 22. Mark Graham, the lock forward, is doing a lot of tackling for the New Zealanders. Young. That's Les Boyd. He can be a match winner. And he's got the pass to Rodonicus. He finds an opening, gives it to Cronin. It goes to Brentnell. Brentnell gives the pass to Anderson. He kicks over, and then he's felled late. He's been felled a mile late. Surely it's a penalty. Yes, it is. Referee Steele giving the penalty for Anderson being felled well after he kicked ahead. And this has put the Australians well and truly down on the New Zealand line. George Paponis taking it out to Rodonicus. He looks for the opening. Had Rod Morris running with him, but the Australians have now lost the ball, and there's an altercation between Tommy Rodonicus and again involves Kevin Tamati, the second row forward. He plays in number 11.
It's the third time he's been involved in something like this, Ray.
Yes, and he's been involved in a couple of incidents in the back play too, Graham, which have gone unchecked by touch judges.
And it just hasn't been fists either. No, the lads put in the long studs this morning, right, for the mud.
And there's the Cronin kick. It is successful. A good kick by Cronin. And Australia lead New Zealand by 5 points to 2. We're 15 minutes gone in the first half of this international being played at Carlaw Park, coming to you on the O10 network throughout Australia. Toots KB, man of the match. That goes to the Australian, the best Australian player. That's a $300 award. And we're looking for our $5,000 normal man of the match award as Australia's Dowling makes a good run. 12 metres out from the 22. Playing it back to Patonis. It's out with Rod Morris. Morris up the centre. Graham around the legs and Broadhurst over the top. Patonis is dummy half again. Now Rodonicus back to Patonis. He shows it. It's gone back to Les Boyd. If he could have got that ball away, and he did. It's been picked up by Filipina for New Zealand. And Filipina will play the ball. 12 metres on the Australian side of the halfway. Barry Edkins now, the player for the Kiwis. Tamati, touch judge, indicating a knee in the tackle, was it?
Lifting the leg. It's a laugh. I think he's missed everything else bar that.
So O'Donnell has kicked 1 out of 1. That's got height, but he's hooked it badly, and Dowling will bring it out for Australia. Dowling playing in his first test match for the Australians. He's been waiting in the wings behind some very great fullbacks since he came to Sydney and joined Canterbury from Oakdale. Rod Morris. No love lost in those tackles. Rodonicus. Rodonicus outside the 22, picked up in cover by Graham. Alan Thompson probing for the opening to present itself, but Kevin Tamati rides him to the ground. Now Rodonicus. Ray Price held in the tackle by Gordon Smith, the 5'8". Last tackle for the Australians. Ready. Turns it back on the inside to Craig Young. Young slides the pass away to Rodonicus. Out to Brentnell. Brentnell tries to step, gets the pass away beautifully to Ray Price. Price is looking for a speedy runner. He's picked up Kerry Boasted. You can jump the gate, the horse is bolted. Boasted scores under the uprights for Australia. What a pass from Brent. Oh, that was a try and a half. Here it is on the replay. And it was from here it went out to Greg Brentnell. Now, this was a super pass. Picked up magnificently by Price.
A good pass from Ray Price.
Yes. And he looked and looked for somebody with a bit more speed than himself, and he found Kerry Boasted. And that's how it happened.
Top wingers try.
There's the two men that played a big part. Greg Brentnell just going off screen, and a very happy young Kerry Boasted. Still the baby of the side. As Cronin raises the flags, and Australia now lead New Zealand by 10 points to 2. 20 minutes gone. We're back live now. Craig Young playing the ball to George Paponis. Rod Morris takes it up. That try, incidentally, as I hark back to it, it brought a very big round of applause from this obviously pro-New Zealand crowd. Rodonicus to Price, and Price is tackled, and just as well.
Good tackle.
He had Dowling and Anderson in support. Rodonicus feeds it to Reddy. The big man takes on 3 of them, 4 of them now, and a penalty. He's caught him for a head high. And Cronin, I would think of be kicking for line from here. This ball would be getting heavier. No, he's decided to go for goal right in centre field. He's 40 metres out. Strikes it. It's got height. It's got length. The touch judges haven't moved. It's 2 points. Great kick by Cronin. You've got to really walk across Carlaw Park to understand just how greasy that ball must be, how heavy it must already be, to appreciate that the match has been as free-flowing as it has been, Graham Quinn.
That's right. Also, I think it's worthy to note, Ray, that the ball they are using out there today is it's a much more squat ball than the ones the Australians are used to at club games at home. So, you know, if anything, it's a compliment to Mick Cronin.
Ray Price, Mr. Perpetual Motion. Up to the halfway mark. Craig Young. Rod Reddy. Les Boyd. Quick ball to Gary Dowling. Dowling brushing off a couple of feeble attempts at tackle. Then runs into a man who has been tackling for New Zealand. Their lock forward, Mark Graham, having a top game in defence for his side. Rodonicus picked up well by Thompson, or picked out of the air well. There's a replacement on there for the NZers. I'll pick him up in a moment.
Number 14, Lou Hudson.
Craig Young playing the ball back to George Proponis, out to Rodonicus. They're working blindside. Oh, Rodonicus took a high one. But the little man, he's up and at him. Ready. Brushing off a would-be tackle inside the 22. Back it goes to Alan Thompson, and he's filled about a metre short. A chance for Australia to go in again, though. Proponis is likely to go himself from here. Towed ahead. Alan Thompson dives on it. That's a fair try.
Good try.
Alan Thompson scoring for Australia, and they're racing away, leading by 15 points to 2. Reddy made this try as he brushed off would-be tackles, then back to Alan Thompson. He had the tackle made on him very close to the line. And I thought George Proponis would have gone himself, but Alan Thompson was presented with an opening. Rather stupidly, the marker actually ran away. And here we look head on at the Michael Cronin attempted conversion. He's failed. And Australia lead New Zealand 15 points to 2. 26 minutes gone, first half in this international. Les Boyd now taking play up towards the halfway mark. Still plenty of spite in some of those tackles. The New Zealand halfback, Shane Varley, is the man replaced by Hudson. Here they go again. Out to Chris Anderson on the inside, Ready. Back to Proponis, away to Rodonicus.
On the back plate. I think it's Kevin Tamati again.
Yes, number 11 for the NZers, Kevin Tamati. And Gordon Smith is feeding the scrums now. James Lulawai has gone to 5'8". That's an incorrect feed against the New Zealand half. Or 5'8" come half. And Mick Cronin, well, I'm not prepared to say, but I think he'll be kicking for touch this time, surely.
I think so. I think the ball's getting a little bit heavy now.
You're quite right about that ball, Graham Quinn. It's a short, squatty ball. To put it probably simpler still, it looks shorter. Proponis takes the free kick. On the burst comes Rod Morris. Proponis is the acting halfback, knocked down by an NZer. That should be tackle count to resume. It's Rodonicus. Craig Young. They're only about 7 metres out from the line now. The ball to be played back to George Proponis. Out to Rodonicus. Swings it out to Cronin. And Cronin allowed to stand in the tackle. On the blind side, Rodonicus. Brentnell goes to the inside. And he's held there by Hudson in 14, the replacement. Alan Thompson. Dummies, finds an opening, splits them. Oh, great try. Individual effort, but he just stepped off that right foot and like greased lightning, he was through them. And another 5-pointer coming up for Australia. The gap presented itself, and Thompson, stepping off the right foot, grabbed the opportunity to race under the uprights to make it Australia 18, New Zealand 2.
As I said before, I thought the New Zealand back line had been allowed to stand up a little bit offside there over the last 10 minutes. And I think the bloke who came to hit Alan Thompson there was well offside, but resulted in 3 points through Alan Thompson's quick thinking.
Taken out on the touchline on the far side by Reddy. Reddy looked at the referee as if to say, when has a man effectively held serve? Proponis, the dummy half. Rodonicus. Alan Thompson. He's found another gap, Tomo. He's having a top game.
Great break.
Boyd. Rodonicus. Paponis. Cronin took it nicely. Got his pass away. There's a gap. Ready. On the inside, Anderson. Away from one. And taken by his opposite number, Captain Dane O'Hara. Rodonicus. Craig Young. Cronin. Brentnall. Boyd. Bosted's coming up. Bosted puts it on the ground. Knocked backward, said the referee. Play on. Rodonicus. Thompson. Cronin. Price is coming up. That's Price. Stands. Back to Thompson. Back to Bosted. The Australians are making the ball do the work, and they've got the NZers really run ragged at the moment. Paponis on the last tackle to dummy half. Thompson. Ready. Cronin. Put down. And it's a New Zealand ball. Played by Hudson.
A rare mistake by Mick Cronin.
Penalty. Interfering with the man playing the ball is the ruling. And it's Barry Edkins looking for touch. Penalties 6-5 in favour of New Zealand. The scrums, would you believe we've only had 2 decided scrums and they're at 1 apiece. Tamati held up in the tackle. Number 9 is his cousin, the hooker. And he came out of that in pain as Les Boyd appeared to go in a touch late. Broadhurst ridden into the ground by Young and by Paponis. Luluai. Tackler was Rodonicus. This man is Tiariki. That's the halfway line you see. That's a charge down into touch and a scrum just on the New Zealand side of the halfway.
New Zealand have only moved about 8 metres since they got the ball. They're not running onto the ball like the Australians are. They're not looking for supports, or rather there's not really supports there.
I can't sing the praises highly enough of the Australians, Graham Quinn, though by the same token people may not be able to appreciate just how much of a glue pot that Carlaw Park ground is, and the way they're playing their football, it's absolutely unbelievable.
It's true. From this shot here, what the people will be seeing looks nice and green, but once you get onto it, it is very greasy.
And so they, through Edkins, go for touch. Now he dead set touched that ball, and he had his foot in touch. The referee is indicating to Gary Dowling that the touch judge has ruled that the ball found touch. Well, it should have been a scrum to restart. There's no way in the world Gary Dowling's feet were in touch when he got the hand of the ball. He was standing in the field of play and touched the ball. It should have, in fact, been a scrum restart.
Set linesman again.
It shouldn't worry me, really. I've been to France, and you've only got to say that for people to understand what you've been through. And most of these Australians have been there too. Anyway, it's New Zealand now, inside the 22 line, as Luluai turns it on the inside to Tiariki. And he'll play the ball about 15 metres out from the Australian goal line. Dummy half is Tamati. Out to Graham. They switch the point of the attack back to Filipina. And he's allowed to go nowhere in point of actual fact. Graham again. Goes himself, is lanky locked forward. Playing with Brisbane Club North at the moment. Gordon Smith puts the bomb up. Now, I can tell you a couple of those guys are offside. But Gordon Smith did follow the bomb through, and he put most of them onside, and the referee has ruled the end of 6 tackles, not touched by Australia, and the scrum going down 10 metres away from the Australian line.
Good defence by Australia there. The only reason New Zealand got down was from a free kick.
put to ground by Alan Thompson. A penalty goes to New Zealand. He's ruled them offside. And O'Donnell has opted to take a kick at goal with the score 20 points to 2. And that brought a bit of a raspberry from the New Zealand crowd. Olsen Filipina on camera now. So O'Donnell doesn't kick it all that fashionably, but the scoreboard says that it's 2 points and Australia lead New Zealand by 20 points to 4. We're looking for the man of the match for our $5,000 award from National and Electronic Sales and Rentals. And there's been some good Australian performances in the first half. Played by Tamati. That man is Broadhurst. Out to Tiariki, out to Lulawai. That's the first break made by the New Zealanders. That's Hudson. Dowling across in cover. A great tackle. Super tackle by Dowling. That's the first clean break made by the Kiwis. And a penalty against Dowling for not getting off the tackle player. Broadhurst. They're on the 22. Tiariki. Graham. On the quarter line now. Tacklers George Paponis and Craig Young. Filipina. Out to Smith, on to Hudson. And that's Dane O'Hara, the captain. Not going anywhere, though, as he's taken by Mike Cronin. They're sustaining some attack, though, for the first time in the game, the NZers. I might have spoken too soon. Scrum to go down almost on the quarter-way line. The Australian end of the field. 20 points to 4. And we're coming up a matter of seconds out from half-time. Incorrect feed against Tommy. And he asked the question. And Raudonikis and Paponis now being given a practical demonstration by referee Steele. So O'Donnell has another attempted penalty from some 12 metres in from that touchline. Miserable day here at Carlaw Park. Australian prop forward Rod Morris and Tom Raudonikis. A negative nod of the head or a wave of the head. I don't know what this guy expects me to do, he said to himself. And he's failed to bring the flags up. 20 points to 4. And out to the quarter line for the restart by the Australians. George Paponis took the ball up to the quarter line as if he was going to start with the place kick. And referee Steele then advised him that it had to be the 22 drop. Fisher, number 2 for New Zealand. Kevin Tamati, just on his own side of the halfway. Second row partner Barry Edkins as the siren sounds, and that's the end of the first half. And so at half-time, Australia 20, New Zealand 4. So the second half of this test match with Australia 20, New Zealand 4. And there's the kick by Cronin down to the replacement on for New Zealand in the shape of Graham West, who's out there replacing second row forward Paul Tiariki, who had a rather inglorious first half. He got involved in a few scrimmages for which he will be best remembered. But outside of that, his performance left, as a lot of his teammates have a lot to be desired. On the blind side now from the scrum winners Dowling. And that's a handy tackle over there by Gordon Smith. Let me point out immediately, having said that about certain players in the New Zealand side, that there are others who have done their job and continue to work hard, including lock forward Mark Graham, for whom I've got nothing but admiration. He's in there and he's tackled his heart out against a champion side. Craig Young, who scored the first try for Australia after 4 minutes, is tackled now a few metres inside the 22. There's the replacement West for New Zealand on in brand new jumper. As Les Boyd goes crashing towards the line and he's lost it. Well, Les Boyd, I realise that this ball is greasy and strange in that it's a different ball to what the Australians have ever played with before. But Les has been in for a couple of tries on a couple of occasions in recent weeks and he's lost it. Well, how the name of goodness that player could be qualified as onside, I don't know. But it's play on now after Rodonicus had played the ball and Brentnell's left it behind him, picked up by Cronin. He says play on the referee. It's Bosted who came from his left flank to give it to the right flanker Anderson. It's across and gone through Thompson to Reddy, who stands and passes out to Price. There's a try on with quick hands. It's gone out to Les Boyd, who puts the hip into a player and shoulders him away. It's picked up then by the second row forward for Australia and put to ground. Rod Morris, front row forward, I should say. But Australia hammering on the attack now. Craig Young, 5 metres inside the 22. Injured in the back play for Australia is Ray Price. It's with Reddy. He throws the dummy to Cronin, goes himself, turns the pass around the corner to Tommy Rodonicus, and he's tackled a couple of metres inside the 22 line. Played and gone on the left. It's with Alan Thompson. He's already scored 2 tries. He calls on Kerry Bosted. Bosted, oh, the pass went down to the feet of Rod Morris. And that would have been a certain try. Well, it's New Zealand in possession. Players about 12 metres out from their own line. And being played by the New Zealanders. And Broadhurst it is a few metres inside his 22. Tamati, he's lost it. A good tackle there by Les Boyd. It's out to Greg Brentnell now. Brentnell's taken by Olsen Filipina. Les Boyd is just about fed up. Let me tell you, with a fellow called Kevin Tamati. Brentnell, Boyd, I know, tries hard these days to contain himself, but this fellow has niggled at him all day. And in back play, things that you're not seeing, they could well erupt at any time. Young back to Rodonicus, and Craig would not be happy that he gave Tommy that ball, I wouldn't think. Thompson, Cronin, Price, well taken. This defence, 3 minutes into the second half, it's got a bit more drive about it, a bit more enthusiasm. Ready, run round, Anderson. Anderson in number 5 for Australia. He's tackled 9 metres out on the last. We haven't seen the Bombers yet. Cronin, Ready, on the blind side. Anderson, across, out to Rodonicus. The little man stands, back to Gary Dowling. Dowling taken 2 metres out from the line. And listen to that crowd. They're not only applauding their own side's defence on that occasion, but I think they're being thrilled by this Australian machine as they just throw the ball about and keep it alive, playing the type of rugby league that can only help countries like New Zealand and France and England. I would think the more they see of this Australian side as it is now, the better it is for rugby league internationally.
It's definitely good teamwork. It's something that's been moulded since the Kangaroo Tour.
And it must be a very proud Graham Quinn to even be part of it.
Yeah, certainly is, Ray.
Australian ball, Price and Rodonicus, a set move, didn't come off. Mark Graham, the lock forward, shut the gap. They continue to work blindside. Rodonicus decides he'll have a go himself. Playing the ball back to George Paponis. Back to Reddy. Gets the pass away. And it's in possession of Rod Morris for Australia. A few metres out from the New Zealand line. Craig Young. Gary Dowling. Taken heavily there by Kevin Tamati. In combination with Barry Edkins. Good tackle to blot Dowling out of scoring a try. Lofted ball by Price. Reddy got his pass to Cronin. Cronin to Anderson. Anderson to Price. Price stands up. Back to Cronin. Cronin round the corner to Reddy. Reddy stands up. Gets it down along the ground, picked up by Dowling, but a knock-on. Really throwing the ball about the Australians, and good defence on that occasion by New Zealand to prevent them from letting it out wide where several backs were waiting for it. Smith feeding. And he's let that scrum go on. And to me, it looked like it was in and out the same tunnel. But it's play on. It's with the Kiwis. Mark Graham playing in number 13. Just outside the 22 line. Reddy was the tackler. Pass well astray. Picked up by James Lulawai. And a cutting tackle by Price. This is Kevin Tamati. Rodonicus around the legs and Rod Morris over the top. Again, it's played. West, the replacement, on at half-time for Tiariki. Well, he's walking off the mark for sure. Referee says play on. And O'Donnell, the fullback, knows that he's involved in a game of rugby league under test match conditions. Broadhurst. Paponis, the tackler, and the scrum will go down about 6 metres out from the 22.
They tended to run one out there, New Zealand. I think the way to play the Australians probably is to throw the ball around like the Australians who try to stretch that defence.
New Zealand ball. Smith to the open side to Lulawai, then to O'Donnell, the fullback. And he's held by Alan Thompson and by Ray Price. Penalty against Price for not releasing the tackle player. The Parramatta former captain, he resigned from his job last week as captain of that side, getting through a lot of work here today. Now the free kick. Some of these New Zealanders very hard to reckon. Well, that's got to be a Shepherd too, surely. But allowed to go on. 9 metres into the Australian side of play. Broadhurst got his pass away well to Smith and on to Hudson. And he's run into Cronin and put down. Lulawai, Smith, Graham. He actually tripped over Greg Brentnell. Tamati, tackled by Rodonicus and Brentnell. Played back to the hooker who gave it to West on the blind side. That's Broadhurst. And the end of 6, and the NZers going virtually nowhere with the last couple of occasions. They've held the ball for 6 tackles.
Held the ball, 6 tackles, but they just still seem to be running that one out all the time, playing right into the Australians' hands. They haven't moved the defence at all.
Won by New Zealand. Lulawai, Smith on the run round, taken by Alan Thompson. I think Tommy Rodonicus, Graham, you say if you disagree, I think Tom's just putting it in their second row as if to say, well, I can't win, I might as well do it this way.
No, Tom's a good competitor. I'm sure everybody knows that. No doubt he'll be trying to put it in the right place for us too. But you never know.
Graham. 10 metres out from the 22. Taps it ahead, goes himself. Last tackle now. Lulawai, Smith, Filipina. Up to the quarter line. Good run by Filipina. Got his pass away. Knocked down by Chris Anderson. This will be a knock-on. Knock-on against both sides is the ruling, and a scrum will go down on the Australian 22.
Thought that should have been a free kick then, right? Came off a New Zealand player and hit another New Zealand player in an offside position.
You thought he was offside, Graham, did you?
For sure.
Well. The crowd loving every moment of that. The Kiwi is Broadhurst, who I might add is a professional fighter. This is the man, Mark Broadhurst. He had about 5. In fact, he turned up the rugby league caper. He said it was too boring, so he had about 5 or 4 fights, I think it was, as a pro pug. And he won the 4 of them by knockout, I'm told. And he said, that'll do me. I'm sick of that. It's boring too.
Well, he's got no ropes here, has he?
No, well, that's right. There's plenty of park to run out of him if you wanted to, but he looks like he can handle himself. That's a good kick by O'Donnell. And 20 points to 6 in favour of Australia. This goal kicker, Michael O'Donnell, is going to, it appears, be the only man to have his name in the record books as the restart goes down to Barry Edkins, the second row forward for the Kiwis. This is Broadhurst. Got away from the tackle. It's out to West, the replacement. And wisely he hung on then because he was well and truly grounded by Dowling. Taking it up is Tamati. And the crowd roaring for more. Lulawai, Smith, taken by Price and flung to the ground. Lulawai makes a good break for the Kiwis. That's the second break he's made, this lad.
Good tackle, Gary Dowling.
Dowling was the tackler. And so they throw the ball about. Graham takes it up to the 22. The end of 6, and the crowd, they might realise that they're a beaten nation, but their side is giving them something to really entertain them in the second half.
They've definitely got their tails up, New Zealand, now.
Scrum win to Australia. Gary Dowling through one tackle. O'Donnell over the top, Hudson down below. Brentnell dummy half. Rodonicus, ready. Stands up, back to Rodonicus. Blind side to Brentnell. Taken by Dane O'Hara. Near the halfway mark, Price is the dummy half. Rodonicus, ready. Around the corner to Alan Thompson. Well and truly held. Craig Young switches it. That's a knock-on. Correct ruling by Kevin Steele, and the scrum will go down 9 metres on the Australian side of the halfway.
They seem to have lost their concentration a little bit, Australia, at the moment, but I'm sure they'll pick it up. Tommy will get them going again.
Blind side to Dowling. Right on the halfway mark. Ready. Broadhurst around the legs for the NZers. Over the top was Mark Graham. Rodonicus. And almost through was Les Boyd, but Lulawai made the tackle. Craig Young now. Straight up the centre. Turns the pass back to Paponis. Away to Rodonicus. It's gone on to Reddy. It's with Cronin. Calls Anderson inside. Anderson in number 5 for Australia is held by Dane O'Hara. Got his pass away to Rod Morris onto Rodonicus. And Rodonicus is tackled. Thompson. Anderson. This is a different effort from the Kiwis in the second half. They trailed 20-4 at half-time. We're 15 minutes into the second half. And the scoreline 20 points to 6 now in favour of the Australians. And offside against the Australians now. Hello. I never thought I'd see that. Rod Morris and Olsen Filipina having a disagreement. Clubmates back in Australia. Quite incredible. Over nothing. Broadhurst. That's Lulawai. Edkins. Broadhurst. Tamati. Rodonicus around the legs. That's Fisher. Taken by Les Boyd. Broadhurst. A long ball out to Luluwai onto Filipina. O'Donnell, the fullback. He grabs the head. Gary Dowling's across in cover. And Dowling will play the ball. Anderson. Ready.
Much more sting in these New Zealand tackles this half, right?
Craig Young. Rodonicus. Young. Price. And the tackle count expires. By the way, Tommy Rodonicus, on behalf of all the Australian players, asked me to simply send a message of cheerio and get well to a young girl who's not well in Westmead Hospital, Sue Perry. Apparently a personal friend of Tom's, and all the Australians wish her a speedy recovery back in Australia. And the Australians get a penalty. 13-6 is the overall count in favour of New Zealand, the penalties. As Cronin finds touch just outside the 22. And Paponis takes the place kick. Morris. Craig Young calling for it. Rodonicus. My gee, he's had a busy game, hasn't he, Graham?
Been very busy. Typical Tom Rodonicus style.
Paponis works it to the blind side to Alan Thompson. That's Ray Price. And Graham and O'Hara make the tackle. Craig Young again. Getting it back to Rodonicus. 9 meters out. Ready. Morris. Boyd. Only a metre short of the line. They're very brittle on this side of the ruck. On the right, that is Paponis. Has he got it down? No. It'll be a 5-metre scrum. What Les Boyd said to the referee there, I'm not certain.
I think he said he was held up over the line.
You know he didn't, Graham Quinn, but we'll buy that. So a chance here for maybe another Australian try. Well, that did not go. That certainly came out the same time. Now, it's an Australian heel, and Rodonicus is on it. Price calls the blind side. Goes himself. And is a metre short. 20-6 in favour of Australia. Dummy half is Tommy Rodonicus. Price tries to go himself. And it's a New Zealand ball. Well, they had a heap of tackles then, the Australians, to work with the ball, and Ray Price probably would have been better advised to let the ball spin wide. As West, the replacement, gets it 10 metres away from his own line. Edkins, kicking to clear, taken by Dowling, taken well too. Tackler was James Luluwai, popular figure here in Auckland. Anderson. Rodonicus, ready. Rod Morris. Craig Young. Dowling on the burst. Down on the 22 line now. Rodonicus, ready. Reddy palming him off, going for the line, and Rocket has scored again. Another test try to Rod Rocket Reddy. Here's the replay of it. Rodinicus drew them, and then a fend from Reddy, and little do they realise, probably, the NZers, that he's probably, if not the fastest, one of the fastest forwards in Sydney.
That's correct.
Alan Thompson's first half was a memorable one with those, well, in particular, one try.
Yes, and he served his backs very well, and it's caused them a lot of trouble out there, causing New Zealanders a lot of trouble, that is.
So Michael Cronin converts the try, scored by Rod Reddy, and 25 points to 6 in favour of the Australians. 25 points to 6. 24 minutes gone in the second half. The other man of the match award is the one made possible by our sponsors, Tooth and Company, the Tooth's KB Australian Man of the Match. That's a $300 cash award, isn't it, Graham? $300? I'm certain it is.
$300 or $400, yes. I'm not particularly sure myself.
Anyway, we'll have notification of that getting close to the end of the telecast. Reddy, Boyd, Dowling, still going, the Parramatta fullback. Reddy up there into the attack, but the referee has ruled the pass went forward from Dowling to Reddy. And he's going to put a scrum down just on the Australian side of halfway.
I think that was a lucky break for New Zealand here.
So do I. I must admit that we've got a very good line on that passage of play. We're sitting at right angles to it.
So it was a line ball, Ray.
So Rodinicus to feed the scrum. Won by Australia. Thompson. And Lulawai hitching a ride. Now the ball has been taken from Thompson. Penalty to Australia for stealing the ball. And Cronin will come across and fine touch on the old grandstand side. So the free kick will be taken by Kerry Bowstead. And he decides he'll take a bit of pressure off some of the forwards and takes it up a few yards himself. And George Paponis goes into acting half. Rodinicus, the run around. That's Rod Morris. Craig Young hurdling the fallen player, who in fact grappled him out of midair. That was Barry Edkins. Rodinicus, Thompson, a dummy to Rodinicus. Now the Rocket Reddy is calling for it to the right. And here he comes. He's going left. Standing. Come on, boys. He said, where are you? Standing and no support. 11 metres out on the last tackle is Reddy playing the ball. Morris, Cronin. That's Price. Standing, looking for a runner. Gets it away now to Cronin. Cronin is put to ground. That's the end of 6. And the scrum will form about 9 metres out from the New Zealand line.
Australians looking dangerous, right? When they throw that ball around again, they're starting to stretch that New Zealand defence from one side to the other. The New Zealanders seem to get themselves into trouble.
Penalty to New Zealand. Let's check the scrums and penalty situation at this stage. The penalties are reading 14 to 7 in favour of New Zealand. The scrums 8-5 in favour of Australia. And that's not a bad effort to come away from an overseas match winning the scrums.
Winning the scrums, yeah. I noticed the penalties there, 2-1, 14. That is 14 to 7. So that's a really good effort by the Australians there.
So New Zealand with the ball 10 metres on their own side of the halfway. And players becoming very hard to recognise. That tackle was made by George Paponis on Mark Graham. Broadhurst. Price making the tackle. West. 12 metres away from the quarter line, his own end of the field. Filipina, taken there by Graham. Tackle count has been restarted by the referee. Knock on by Broadhurst, but referee Steele disagrees. He says play on. And that is, and so we're going to have a scrum now. So justice has been done. 25 points to 6 in favour of Australia. The second half, if you like to look at it that way, has been won after 28 minutes by Australia, 5 points to 2. So it has been, as far as the scoreboard is concerned, and I'm sure in reality it's been a much better effort by the Kiwis in the second half. O'Donnell. That was a beautiful tackle by Alan Thompson. Likewise, a good tackle by Ray Price. That's Barry Edkins, the second rower. He's worked hard for his side. And Howie Tamati in a dummy half, as usual. Smith, Luluai. That's an Australian ball. Paponis dives on it. So the Australian skipper...
not only winning the scrums, picking up the loose ball.
Gary Dowling continuing to make his presence felt. His opposite number, I think, was thinking about having a little bit of a poke and then decided against it. Rodonicus, ready, standing up, looking for support. Nobody running off ready. Bowstead was, but he had long gone. There should have been an extra runner there. Young, a few metres out from the quarter line. Miserable day here in New Zealand. Rodonicus. Les Boyd puts it on the ground. And an exchange of very frail punches from West and Boyd. 6 metres out from the quarter line on the NZR's half. I don't think I've been to Carlaw Park when it hasn't been raining. I'd just love to come here and see a dry pitch and a dry day. It'll be different, to say the least.
I was here in '78 with St George, right? It was raining then. And pitch looks the same. Everything still looks the same.
The way you make it sound, Graham Quinn, you're saying it's been raining since 1978. That is not true. I've got some friends here in New Zealand that tell me it's been beautiful weather all week. Rodonicus slithering his way through. As a matter of fact, some Australians believe the New Zealanders turn the hoses on at night time prior to a test match.
I have heard that story too.
On the 22-way line, George Paponis goes to dummy half. Ball played by Reddy. It's out to Craig Young. And a quick ball out through Paponis on to Ray Price. Standing up. No support. I tell you what, there's been plenty of occasions in the last few minutes where there has just been nobody running off Reddy and players like him. Cronin. And that's the end of 6, and so a scrum will pack down. Right on the New Zealand 22. We're about 9 minutes out from full time. Gordon Smith given the Cumberland roll by Ray Price. Mark Graham. I continue to repeat or sing the praises of him. He's tried all day, Graham, from lock forward.
He has. He's quite an experienced player, Mark Graham, on the ground.
Yes.
Sure. I think he's played in the New Zealand side quite a few times. The test team, that is.
Yes, you're not wrong. He's played in 7 test matches, and his test career started in 1977. New Zealand, with O'Donnell, the fullback, taking it up to halfway to be met and tackled by Mike Cronin. Dummy half is Dane O'Hara. Good tackle there by Craig Young. And a scrum to go down. So scrum going down as we come down towards the last 2 minutes of the match. And Price in a vigorous throw, putting Gordon Smith, the halfback, to ground. O'Donnell, the fullback, taken by Rodonicus and Anderson. That's Graham. Gordon Smith. Thompson's pass going behind Greg Brentnell. He plays it now. It's with Craig Young. Ready. Dowling. Well tackled by Graham. And over the top, Kevin Tamati. Rodonicus to dummy half. Ready. A long ball through Thompson and Cronin. It's gone to Brentnell. Brentnell's to the 22 and given it to Price. Price looks on the inside for Bowstead, finds Cronin. Cronin unloads to Brentnell. Brentnell's lost it. Picked up by Philippine for New Zealand. And play is still on their own 22. A fiery encounter, or a spiteful encounter, I think is the right way to put it. With Australia 25, New Zealand 6. So the final seconds of this match winding down, and James Lulawai is tackled. And that's out on the full, so a scrum will barely have time to go down. We're in the last minute of the game, just outside the New Zealand 22. Penalty to Australia. And Mike Cronin's coming across to take a kick for goal. I must point out the Tooth KB Gold Award is for the Australians only. Best of the Australians, even if they had have been a beaten side, they still would have got that award. But our other award from National and Electronic Sales and Rentals is for the player of the match. Quite obviously, it's going to be an Australian, and we'll announce them both at the end of the match. And Mick Cronin pilots that between the uprights, 27 points to 6, and the final siren must surely be sounding in just a matter of seconds. Let me start to read out the try scorers for you. For Australia, tries by Young, Craig Young at the 4th minute, Bowstead at the 20th minute, Alan Thompson at the 25th and 30th minutes, and Rod Reddy, he scored his try at the 62nd minute of the match, whilst Mick Cronin has kicked 6 from 8 as the final siren sounds, ending this first rugby league test between Australia and New Zealand here at a very damp, cold and bleak Carlaw Park. And we're some 25 minutes after the game now, and Tommy Rodonicus has got his tracksuit on and has been kind enough to come out in this pouring rain to accept not a bad prize really from Electronic Sales and Rentals, a national, a $5,000 award, Tom, of prizes made up from the range.
Good, thanks very much, Ray, I appreciate it.
Was it tough out there? I called it a spiteful test, would you agree?
Yeah, it was very spiteful, you know, but we knew we had to sort of to get up early into sort of in the first half and get as many points as we can, because we knew the ground would deteriorate. And you know, when you play away, that the referees, well, you know, they're from New Zealand and we're from Australia, so that's the way that goes. And you know, we're a very disciplined side, and we copped plenty, but we didn't retaliate because we knew we had to get the points on the board. But against the next test, because we've got one up on the board now, and we're going to be a little bit tougher and a little bit stronger than we were today. And we're going to give a little bit back what we copped today.
Would you throw a champagne party if you got a dry surface to play on at Carlaw Park ever?
Well, mate, that's right. You'd throw a party, but if this was a dry track today,
This Australian side is a great side. The young blokes who came in the side proved, they proved they are good players. And the thing is, if this was a dry track today, I think we would have beaten them by 35 to 40 points. No risk at all. Well.
Tommy, congratulations again. And you just hold that umbrella up for a second.
Can I give a quick cheerio, Ray?
Yeah, go if you like.
To my wife, Trish, and my 3 little lovely kids, all the best. I'm thinking of you all the time.
Good on you, Tommy. Now, you hold the umbrella up there. The Tooths KB Man of the Match Award, the $300 cash prize, went to Gary Dowling, who had a superb game in a match which really wasn't conducive to Gary Dowling's type of football, but he has come through his maiden test with flying colours. Congratulations, Gary.
Thanks very much, Ray. Yeah.
You didn't score a try, but you made your presence felt with some very hard running. What was it like out there trying to stand up when you're relying on speed and the burst that you certainly can make?
Oh, it was quite hard. As Tommy just said a minute ago, it got worse in the second half. I found it all right in the first half to run. We're using different spikes, which enable us to perform a little bit better.
Yeah, but you made your presence felt more in the second half, I felt.
Oh, they kicked me a little bit in the second half and, got involved a little bit more.
Yeah. What do you think of Carlaw Park in summary?
In summary?
In summary.
Well, the conditions, we're not used to those in Australia, so it's a little bit hard to say. It's probably the worst ground I've played on.
OK. Gary Dowling, the Tooths KB Man of the Match, and Tom Rodonicus, the Electronic Sales and Rentals and National Man of the Match. From a very wet Carlaw Park, I'm Ray Warren, thanking the 2 Australians for coming across for this presentation section of our program. I hope you've enjoyed it, and you'll join us around Australia when Network 10 Sport present again the Australians in action against the New Zealanders.